Welcome and thank you for attending the Site-Specific Emergency Action Plan training for the ANA Security Group project. This Site-Specific Emergency Action Plan training is designed and intended to provide you an overview of the emergency action plan for this site. This EAP is intended to provide you the information you need to know and do during an emergency. It is the responsibility of your supervisor to ensure you are familiar with your work area and this emergency action plan. If you have any questions, please ask your supervisor or an ANA Security Group representative. You will need to know and understand the following topics to be able to respond appropriately in case of an emergency while on this site. We'll discuss how to react, who to contact, how you can help, how you should respond, and the procedures to follow during an emergency. If you have any questions at all during or after this training, please be sure to talk with your supervisor and review the detailed emergency action plan as necessary. Safety is one of our most important workplace concerns for the following reasons. About 3 million workers are injured or killed every year. Injuries and illnesses cost over $100 billion every year. If there is an emergency, you need to get yourself to a safe location immediately if you are in an unsafe location or in danger. Inform others to get to a safe location immediately if they are in an unsafe location or in danger. This may require you to activate alarms as needed, such as fire alarms. Once in a safe location, call 911. Contact your supervisor, manager, or site security. There are many different types of emergencies. Not all types of emergencies will have the same type of response or action plan. We will review the following action plans for each of these different types of emergencies. Medical emergencies, fire or explosion emergencies, weather and natural disaster emergencies, shelter in place, power outage, hazardous chemical spill emergencies, bomb threat, critical operations. Evacuation signals are a critical element to a successful emergency action plan. You and others need to be easily notified there is an emergency. Different types of emergencies may require you and others to take different actions. The evacuation signals will communicate to you the actions you may need to take right away. Building fire alarm. If the building and/or site needs to be evacuated, the primary alarm will be the building fire alarm. Tornado sirens. Local tornado sirens will alarm if a tornado warning is in effect, communicating to shelter in place. Loudspeaker. The building and site are equipped with a loudspeaker system or a megaphone may be used to communicate emergency procedures. Air horn. An air horn may be used if necessary or as a backup if any of the other alarms fail systems. If air horns are not a main form of alarm, add instructions to what to do next if air horns are heard and how to receive those instructions. Word of mouth may be used as necessary or as a backup if other alarm systems fail. All employees must be familiar with the evacuation plan. Be aware of the location of the nearest/safest meeting point that is predetermined by your supervisor. Once everyone has reached the meeting point, the supervisor will take accountability of everyone to ensure everyone has made it out safely. Once this has been finished, please wait for further instruction from either your supervisor or emergency services. If you have been notified by alarm or otherwise to evacuate the building or site, follow these steps immediately. When the alarm sounds, evacuate according to the designated primary routes or alternative routes to the predetermined assembly areas, or as directed by an evacuation monitor. In the absence of a monitor, supervisory personnel will assume the monitor duties. All designated primary and alternative routes are posted in work areas. After personnel are evacuated and have reached the assembly areas, the evacuation monitor or designated supervisors will conduct a thorough head count of all personnel. The name of any missing persons and suspected locations of unaccounted or injured people will be immediately communicated to the site manager. Remain in the assembly areas until the all clear signal has been given by proper authorities. Do not go to personal vehicles before the all-clear signal has been given. The closest urgent care and/or emergency room can be found on the site-specific emergency action plan. The closest emergency room is about 10 minutes away at UCLA West Valley Medical Center Emergency Room. The address is 7300 Medical Center Road, West Hills, California, 91307. The phone number is 818-676-4000. And turn-by-turn directions can be found within the project trailer. Be sure to review and make note. If there is a medical emergency and someone is injured or ill, immediately notify your supervisor by calling 911. Give information as to the nature of the emergency and the exact location, address, building, and room number. Stay on the phone with the emergency operator until all the necessary information is obtained and the operator hangs up. Follow up by notifying your supervisor and site manager and giving them the same information that was given to emergency services. Tell them who has been notified. If there is a person who has received first aid training nearby, contact him or her for immediate assistance. Send someone to the front entrance to escort the rescue units to the scene of the emergency. Stay with the ill/injured person and do what you can to keep him/her comfortable until medical assistance arrives. If an employee discovers a fire or sees an explosion, immediately sound the fire alarm by activating nearest fire alarm pole station. If trained and authorized to extinguish incipient fires, attempt to extinguish the incipient fire if the employee determines it is safe to do so. If unable or untrained to extinguish the fire, close, but do not lock the door and go to the evacuation assembly area. If the primary escape route is blocked, proceed to the secondary escape route. If all escape routes are blocked with smoke, fire, or impassable objects, shelter in place in an enclosed room or other area that is free of smoke and fire, if possible. Shut, but do not lock, doors behind you. This will help smother the fire, or block the flow of fumes, gases, or smoke. Stay low to the ground if near smoke and fire. Use any means possible to get the attention of rescuers, including calling 911 on fixed or cell phones if functioning, banging on walls, yelling, and other loud noises. Do not move from the shelter area until directed by rescuers. Weather and natural disasters can happen quickly and take prompt actions. Follow specific site response requirements. Shelter in place for wind emergencies in a storm shelter. Stay in place until the all-clear signal has been given. Listen to radios, turn TVs to news stations if able. Weather and natural disasters can happen quickly and take prompt actions. Follow specific site response requirements. Shelter in place for wind emergencies in a storm shelter. Stay in place until the all-clear signal has been given. Listen to radios, turn TVs to news stations if able. All employees will be evacuated from the facility in the event of a bomb threat. Following are the general procedures for handling a bomb threat announced over the phone. Notify your supervisor and site manager. Immediately after above notification, complete the bomb threat report as completely and as accurately as possible. Notify your immediate supervisor that you have received a threatening phone call and have already notified the site manager. After completion of the bomb threat report, remain at your location until emergency services arrives. They will interview you regarding the call and take your completed bomb threat report. Other points to consider. Do not sound any alarms. Use word of mouth or a more non-alarming way to inform employees to evacuate. Do not draw attention to the evacuation. Evacuate the facility. May be necessary to evacuate one side of a building to the other side and not to leave the facility depending on the threat in sight. So wait for instructions. All employees will participate in evacuation drills as follows. When the fire alarm signal sounds, promptly leave work areas and proceed to the nearest exit. Elevators will not be used except under the direction of the fire department. Proceed to the designated assembly area. Do not go to cars or otherwise leave the assembly area until notified to do so by proper authorities. After the drill, employees will be reminded to know their alternate exits. If you have any questions, be sure to bring them up to your supervisor and remember to stay safe out there.